I've been traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body, if he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. And I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King saying, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say it real slow. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. I feel it. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. When I God has smiled on me, he has set me free. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to scream, y'all. I want to scream, y'all. God has smiled on me. He has set me free.
Seven 53257
I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talent in my own unique way and let me do things on my own, because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me.
I've been traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body, if He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good. Let me to the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say real strong. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell them what you told me, Brother Brown. I said, now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. He has set me free. God smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I went home and I told my mother what Brown told me. And she said, son, even though we don't have much, we don't need relief. All we need is belief. And she said, he didn't tell you no lie, because the Lord will take care of you. God sits high, but he looks down low. And every time you get discouraged, every time you're burning down, all you have to do is think of the things that God made a way for you and look toward the heavens. Lift your eyes to the hills and say, God, 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 don't smile on me. Now then, the God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. That has been so good to me. Yes, he has. I say, God smiled on me. He has set me free. And I know all over the country, smile on me. We need jobs. We need a way to make it. We need help. We need jobs. We need a way to make some money to feed our families and raise our bread. We need a way to survive, so we don't need crime as a survival kit. We just need a little bit. But don't give the hope up. Don't lose the faith, because God will smile on you. God will give you the strength. God will make a way for you. Adam Great Power said, keep the faith. Keep the faith, baby. I hear Robert Kennedy saying that it's not the dream of, but it's the dream that'll live on forever. Just know that God will smile on you. Dr. King had a dream. Dr. King said, I went to the mountaintop, but I didn't stop there. I looked over and saw the promised land. I hear Brother Malcolm saying, don't sit on the stoop. Stand up and be a man. Respect yourself. Be somebody. Then I hear the brothers in the Hispanic community say, I'm going to stand up and be a man. I'm going to do the best I can. I had a reaper say, I don't care what time you come home, but just give me some respect when you get there. Now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God smiled on me. You've been so good to me. Sit down. And as we move on in history, let us remember that if we look to God, God has an answer to all of our problems. God is still the same God he was years ago, and we can still make it. We can still hold on like Frederick Douglass did. We can still keep him on like Martin Luther King did. We can still ride on the way everyone that made it did. They didn't have much, but they had a whole lot of faith. They didn't have money, but they had a lot of determination. We know that God will look out that God will make a way out of no way if you just keep the faith and refuse to lose. And God will make a way because God's children don't have color. God's children just have will. And I can still hear somewhere in my mind James Brown say, God has smiled on me. He has let me free. Let me sing here. Yeah, Lord. Yeah, Lord. Yeah, Lord.
Well, keeping it real, I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And you can, of course, go to our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net and go to live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net. Well, I've a lot of issues, and people are getting ready to call in and sound off on it, and I think that I'll be going to the phones right after. Let me first make some announcements. Don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, both Saturday and Sunday, and I really try to urge people to don't take the holiday off. You know, a lot of people get in this holiday spirit, and you're going to wake up after the holiday, and healthcare premiums are going to have skyrocketed, and you're going to see the voting rights, the deconstructing of voter rights continue to be ripped apart in the courts as people in these various states try to go through these redistricting plans. And not to mention that we're now in international, in my opinion, international danger of creating precedents that just don't gel by saying we can have innocent, possibly innocent people shot and killed at sea claiming they were drug dealers with no evidence. And what makes this so diabolically troubling to me is at the same time the Trump administration is saying shoot, go ahead and kill everybody. He pardons the former president of and he pardons them who has been convicted of trafficking drugs to the United States. Convicted in federal court. So there is absolutely no rhyme or reason to what's going on here. At one level, you're going to pardon a convicted drug trafficker who uses power as a head of state. At another level, you shooting unnamed people and bombing boats with unnamed people in the Caribbean. At one level, you say that you have a better plan than Obamacare, but you can't tell us what it is. And we're running on deadline right now, down to December 31st. So let's talk about all this. Let me say by way of announcements, don't forget to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturdays and Sundays on MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC. And you better believe I'm going to be digging deep into several things. I've already up some of the members of the Senate and the House, and I think we'll have a couple of governors and then some of the experts. I really want somebody to explain to me how you can pardon the president of Honduras who was convicted of drug trafficking, given 45 years now in jail by U.S. federal courts for trafficking drugs into this country, and then turn around and justify shooting people, bombing a boat, several boats, with the people on there we don't know the evidence against them, where the charges are, and we still have not seen the drugs they were supposed to have been trafficking. Now, the right wing say, well, Mal, they blew up the boats, ain't no drug. Well, why hasn't something floated to the top? We should be seeing something in the top of the sea, something. So I'll be dealing with all that on Politics Nation this weekend and more. I'll also be at the Saturday Action Rally. Make sure you meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. You that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television. And Impact is the only black-owned national gospel network on television. And of course, you that are not able to do that, you can watch it live on nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. All right, let's get ready to go to the phones. Let's get ready to read some of our message board. I see Janet Overall says,
I've asked the same questions. Thank you, Reverend Al. Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand that. Where is, usually when you see these big drug busts, you see they bring out all the drugs, to show you the sacks of drugs. Okay, fine. So you blew up the ship, there are no sacks. But we'd be able to see something in the water. You didn't blow up the whole ocean. You didn't blow up the whole Caribbean Sea. And you'd be able to tell us the name of the people on the boat that you blew up and how they were connected to drugs. James Thomas is saying on the message board, I know that Trump heard of the authorized use of military force, AUMF, but I guess he doesn't care about that job because he's a convicted felon and felons don't care about committing crimes. Well, James, it appears that you are correct. And Mary Jones is saying, teach Reverend Al Sharpton, stay well and stay safe. I'm going to try. Some things just common sense to me. All you got to do is reverse it and let the United States go somewhere and start blowing up boats in people's inside of the waters of another nation, saying that we think they were doing something. And we're not bringing them to court. We're not going to prove it in court. We're just killing them. And see if that won't start a war. What are we establishing? Mo Brown says, again, Rev, thankful for your continued grind and fight for the village. What we are seeing from Washington is nothing short of historic craziness from an inept administration. Had this been Obama, and you didn't even have to finish that sentence, they would have impeached Obama. They'd have impeached Biden for blowing up people and not establishing due process. And once you normalize that you can be based on whatever exaggerated use of international law he wants to use, once you normalize that, it's going to come back on us. And I'm telling you, that's going to be a problem. Happiness Donut says, we want the same Cadillac health care plan Congress has. Well, they sure have not told us what plan they're giving, and they will not vote to extend the plan we already have. So let's talk about all that. All right, I got to go to a break, and then I'm going to open up the phones. I've read some of your messages. I'll read some more. It is Keeping It Real. Sharpton. Be right back. Dallas.
Yes, sir.
Have you put up any calls yet?
So good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing?" All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way, because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning, and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes us tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. But thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you. I love you with my life.
Stephanie Mills.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
because I have a dream today.
When they came for the dreamer.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio. WERE, Demetrius.
Hey, thank you, Reverend Sharpton. It was good talking to you today. First of all, I think that with the shooting of the people outside Venezuela in the boats, that's a break of international law as well. So not only Donald Trump not following the American laws, we come to in arresting the immigrants and some of the American citizens here going outside the law. He's showing he respecting international law, because the laws were set after World War II, even going back to George Washington. When it comes to prisoners of war, or when you engage in war, if the soldiers don't have any weapons and they've shown that they defeated, you're supposed to take them as prisoners. You don't kill them. So what he was doing, what Trump is doing, is a form of genocide. What was happening like during World War II. When Hitler killed the Russian prisoners he took, and with the Japanese deal, and some of the American prisoners they took, and what the Russians did to some of the prisoners they took. That's why they set up laws to have international regulations. And when you take the prisoners of war, so he's really just showing he just not want to be a dictator of America. He want to be a dictator of the world. And that's respecting human life. It also shows he won't have no respect for even American citizens. If his administration feel like they want to arrest someone, they'll do what they feel and don't respect the court system, don't respect people's human rights and their rights, civil rights as Americans. And I believe the pardon of the president of Honduras, I believe that's a pro as well, because his plan, I believe, is to try to invade Venezuela. He wants any allies he have in South America, to help quail down the different countries who be upset with him invading Venezuela, because this mainly is for Venezuelan oil. I believe he's just looking for a cause to invade Venezuela. Venezuela respond to the people getting killed, because it is most likely is innocent people. But like I said, he don't have no regard for their life, as long as his goal is taking over the oil fields and the different companies here in America that want to take over the field. But mainly it's just a disrespect for life. And last, I'd just like to say, concerning Patella, head of FBI, he have security for his girlfriend was not lawful. Yet they want to take away the Secret Service from some politicians should have it. Even some ex-presidents, even some congressmen deserve security now because of the threats that are being made, on their lives. So they should have security before Patella illegally gives security to his girlfriend. Give security to all Americans who deserve it. Those showing the favoritism.
Now it's not only saying that his girlfriend used it, but that they used it for non-related, non-government work. I mean, it was Garvin was going with him to a government event, and that was his escort. That's one thing. But they were saying they went to a country music show, and then back home. I mean, and then had a SWAT team protect her because she's a country music singer. That's where the controversy is, Demetrius.
Mm-hmm. That's right, because it wasn't any government business at all. Like they was going to some government function together. Just going to entertainment that's outside of, any type of government, function.
Right.
And to me, that's a misuse of government funds. That's what it goes back to the case when the Congress were making, that the soldiers, they have a right not to enforce laws that are illegal. The FBI agents, they don't have the right to protect someone who's not being covered by the government policy, the country protection. The same way with the soldiers who attacked the boats outside Venezuela. They didn't have to shoot the people because they don't have no right to shoot innocent people, especially after they already attacked the boat one time and the people was holding on to the boat, holding on to parts of the boat. They were schooled in international law. They probably schooled in the military, training in boot camp. Not to shoot innocent people after they already been defeated. They don't have any weapons on them. So they can come up with charges. So they have to look out for themselves. They can't let this administration get them in trouble, because when they're in trouble, Donald Trump will turn it back and leave them out there to hang. They have to look out for themselves. When the push comes to show if this ever gets into any type of committee, and they start pressing people or pressing charges on those who've been involved. Okay, thank you, Reverend Sharpton.
All right, thank you for your call very, very much. Let's go to Spencer in Little Mountain, South Carolina. Spencer.
Yeah, hello, Reverend Al.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm doing good, and I'm hoping that doing good. You sound strong behind that turkey, all that turkey that you got rid of.
Yeah, because I don't eat turkey. I don't eat nothing but vegetables, but I appreciate your concern. Thank you.
Okay. Reverend, look, I'm going to take you on a roller coaster ride, and also your listeners. But I got a feeling when I get through, you're going to see things in a different way. Now watch this. How I fell in love with Dr. Martin Luther King personally is because the way he did his life. And he did his life this way. His father promised him a seat as the second pastor of the church to where he was at. But for some reason, Martin Luther King chose the community. And I'm going to tell you something. That's where I was blessed at when he did that. Because now I can look and see what he was talking about for humanity, not for a certain race, but for humanity. Now, let me tell you the person that's going to finish up Martin Luther King's view, because the white man, they got together and killed him. Now, let me tell you who's going to finish up this man's point of view. It's Trump. I know right away when I said that should have brought a quietness, mainly because Trump now got every race of people thinking and feeling how blacks got into slavery. Why is it the white man is the only race of folks that can pick and choose the value, the birth value of another race? See, Trump gonna bring this thing out because folks now, their minds are being changed by looking at what Trump is doing. Is it worth it for your children to grow up in a changed way how we look at things? After 250 years, we already got our own laws, the way we're supposed to do, but guess what? Racism is what caused things not to occur. But guess what Trump doing? He's showing all other races. He tricked them into voting for him to become the president. But guess who he giving one-way tickets to? The same other races of people that put him in office. He giving them one-way tickets. Go back to your country. So all I wanted to do was bring my point of view in. I don't know if you see it.
All right, I heard your point of view. I think that, thank you for your call. I think that Trump is exposing some raw racism, diluted racism, and I think he is clearly putting a lot of the world on notice of what authoritarianism and totalitarianism is all about, because more and more they're operating outside of the boundaries of law, international and domestic. And it's blatant greed. I mean, it's blatant that they're making all kind of deals, him and his family, all over the world. Let's go to Woody in Philadelphia, WURD. Woody.
Hey, Rev.
Yes, sir.
Always a good program, brother, because you bring the knowledge and the education necessary for so many of us that are, as they say, you got tons and tons of trash, that is being burnt that causes diabetes and other ailments. And you have people that can't read the instructions on the back of their medication to be able to take it properly. I think that's a health hazard as well. So tying all that in, back to Trump again, when I wrote that letter to him years ago, and when he first ran for office, African Americans, what the hell do you have to lose? Your schools are messed up, can't get money from banks, gentrified out your neighborhoods. All that was the truth, but he was using it to win. I'm saying let's use that same truth against him to make non-readers a health issue and a health hazard. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I'm listening.
And I'm saying to you, we got 52% that can't read at third grade level. 52%. We got people proving the fact that 7 million tons of trash is burnt every time your trash is taken out. And this directly causes diabetes and other ailments and diseases. We're causing our own health problems. And one of those problems is back to that 52% that can't read at third grade level. That's a health hazard. I've never heard it put that way, but I know that that's a fact. And if we don't correct it and make our country correct it, then we're in the same shoes that we were in when we were slaves.
Well, I think that the statement you're making is unquestionably true. I think that, therefore, what do we do about it? Well, the only way that we're going to be able to, in mass, deal with education and deal with the lack of reading scores is we're going to have to take the political control back to do that. Mm-hmm. They are disassembling the Department of Education openly. Yep. I'm not talking about what they're doing in the darkness of night. So to me, we can't talk about doing any of what I think you're rightfully saying when they are going the other way, where they're not investing. In fact, they are disinvesting in public education.
I agree.
All right, thank you for your call. Let me take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, be right back.
Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had, in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Now, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We have to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber, who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Joining James Brown, Muhammad Ali, and myself now from New York City is the Reverend Al Sharpton. And Mr. Brown, James, I'd like to ask you about this young man, how you came to meet him, and what the National Youth Movement, which he represents, is all about. Tell me something about that.
It's about teaching young kids the right way to go, and the things to be involved in education. Don't be a dropout, which is one thing I'm very much behind. Unless kids have guidance, they have no place to go. And the idea is to try to mold them. I mean, we think of anything, we think of it as a baby. And what we mold them to be is what it will be later on. He used to stand at my back door, and he believed in what I said, the Don't Be a Dropout program, and the fact of helping kids and giving them the right idol and the right image to go with, cleaning, grooming, and wanting to work, wanting to be something. I started as a kid, a juvenile delinquent, and everything. Had no model. And I was able to be a model for a young man like this. And what he turned out to be is a minister, and he preaches the right thing, and I'm for him 1,000%. I'm for everything he's about.
Mr. Sharpton, how national right now is the National Youth Movement? Is it something new? Has it been going on for a while? Do you have a stated number of members? Tell me something about it.
Well, we don't really get into a numbers game, because that's been a trick that has been played for the last 20 years. What we're basically interested in doing is saying to young people of impoverished backgrounds that there are people like a Muhammad Ali and a James Brown that represents hope to us. Because these people, despite all of the social odds, despite the unemployment statistics, despite the lack of education in their day, were able to grow and be something that we can be proud of. A man like me didn't have a father at home, but I had a James Brown to look up to and would want to sing and dance like him, or Muhammad Ali, who I saw stand up and give away millions of dollars of stamps to the government so that I would have a right to come 10 or 20 years later and try to fight for my kids. So what we're saying is there are symbols and images that kids can look up to and not have to throw a brick through a window, but that can work by the sweat of their brow and succeed, just like these two gentlemen did.
But considering the numbers of young kids today, and Rev, there are hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of kids who really are in hopeless and desperate situations, is it enough to just offer them an example?
You say hopeless, though. Not hopeless.
Well, let's say, well, to them, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids,
it's never hopeless. There's no such thing as hopeless. It's never hopeless. When I got 8 to 16 years for breaking and entering as a kid, because I was hungry, and here I am today, it's not hopeless. Don't say hopeless. Then we're carving out. I don't believe in hopeless. Don't you think it's hope? If you believe in something, try it. No such hopeless. I don't believe in hopeless. We're not going to go with that. And I think he's not about teaching them how to get out and fight for themselves. That's what it's about. No, it's not hopeless. Everybody has a cause and everything, but everybody want to live. And I think living is what we're about. We're not going to teach dying. Hopeless is dying.
I agree with you 100%, James. But what I'm trying to ask here is simply saying you too can be a James Brown or a Muhammad Ali. Is that enough to give a kid who's hungry, who doesn't know where his next meal is coming?
I'll say it.
Give him somewhere to go.
I think it's awful weak to tell a kid you can be a James Brown, one of the greatest entertainers in the world, and me, one of the greatest fighters. And like you said, the hundreds of thousands of millions of kids that need a break. You can't have that many great people, but they can get educated, they can go to school, they can learn. I'd like to say one thing. We have crime today, it's a big problem. I think they took a national vote on what the people want the government to spend most of the money on, and crime was over national defense. Worrying about Russia, China, outside enemies, they're worrying about inside crime. We have crime today, all type, prostitution, murder, exploitation, degradation, and wars of all kinds. And I'm gonna tell you why everything's happening. And I think if you're intelligent, you agree with it. If we were riding an airplane and the two pilots died for some reason, is there anybody in this room that can go in the cockpit, pick up the radio, start working it, bring the plane in, depressurize it as a land, and make it, and late at night on a stormy day? You couldn't do it.
Right.
Well, but if you learn how to fly, or if they show you how to fly it, you can. Since God made the world and God made us, He sent the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, sent Moses, Jesus, Noah, to show us how to run the world. And God left His laws. If we don't follow His laws, then we crash.
Let me say this, though, Mr. Snyder, in response to your question to Mr. Brown, Mr. Ali. Yes, it is enough to begin with showing them an example, because before you get to education, you need motivation. If you don't have motivation to get out of the bed, you won't make school or the party. And what we try to do by showing a James Brown or Muhammad Ali is not that you can be a great champion maybe like Ali or a great entertainer like James Brown, but if you use the same initiative that they did to make him get up 5 in the morning and run 10 miles and just have a dream and to come back 3 times and accomplish that dream, to have more hits than anybody in the world, even when the music world wouldn't give him credit for it in terms of a James Brown. If you had that initiative to keep working at whatever it is that you're going to do, you can succeed. And what we're saying to them is you may not reach the plateau of public prominence of them, but if you can reach the personal discipline and personal motivation of them, you can reach a plateau in your life. Because it's not about looking for a government handout, it's about looking for a way out, as James Brown said.
All right, and then how receptive are the young people that you tell this to?
Very receptive.
Really?
Very receptive. Very receptive. I think that people have misunderstood that most people of impoverished and depressed areas are not looking for the government to give them something. They just want a chance. I remember when I was a little boy, James Brown used to sing, I don't want nobody to give me nothing, just open the door, I'll get it myself. Well, that's all people want now is a chance. Let me get a piece of the action. Let me get a piece of the pie. Let me stand up on my own.
All right. At one man should have the major corporations, the government, should get behind him and push the programs that he's about.
Except maybe if he does it himself and gets grassroots support, it's better than having the government stick their nose in, because they have a way sometimes.
We're not talking about control.
Yeah.
We're not talking about control. We're talking about a way of start. You know, they have to start. If they fund Chrysler and fund all these different other things, they can fund a small man to get started. Then the private sector will join in, but let them help too. It should be.
Last thing. Somewhere along the line here tonight, we used a graphic saying "long hot summer." Are you in any way? I'm certainly not predicting urban strife.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
Well, what I'm saying is,
I am your host.
At home, you have an oven.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and on the message board
we always discuss whether there'll be a flame on the top. And don't discuss it. It's already 600 degrees inside. I'm not concerned as much about a long hot summer.
Son Cam, 57. My parents told me about the Montgomery bus boycott when I was a kid, and they taught me to shop strategically. I'm giving Costco gift cards this year. That's why I buy food for donations. I like that. Support those that support us. I think that is just intelligent. And I think that is necessary for us to do that. And I think that is something that we ought to be teaching our kids, no doubt about it. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, WURD. Disco Brian.
Once again, it's an honor, Rev. I want to get right to it. I know it was and will never be acceptable to use the N-word. This is regarding what I called in about yesterday. It is a word anyone of conscience knows is disgusting and verboten. And it was the earliest lesson my mom and her mom drilled into me. My talking about it here on this most sacred black call-in talk show, trying to get clarity and seek feedback from you, Rev, about how it has been used, especially by white progressive artists, is a taboo and triggering topic for listeners, and I apologize. But as your life's work proves, only through constructive dialogue and debate are we ever going to achieve understanding and empathy, and only through understanding and empathy are we ever going to defeat racism. So as racism, anti-Semitism, and Islamophobia ascend, this conversation is long overdue and mandatory, because if we never talk about it, it's doomed to repeat itself, as is happening now. And my worry, Rev, isn't about how it's obviously happening on the right. It's how it's manifesting on the left. See Bernie Sanders, who has quadrupled down on his support for Graham Plattner, the white man running for Senate in Maine, who had that Nazi tattoo on his chest for 20 years. For the sake of clarity, Rev, I want you to consider, if you will, Bob Dylan. In 1963, Dr. King invited Dylan to be Mahalia's opening act prior to delivering The Dream. And then 12 years later, that same Bob Dylan used the N-word in the song Hurricane to denounce racism embedded in the criminal justice system. And then, 37 years later, Dylan was awarded the Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama. So even though he took artistic license to use the word, he wasn't canceled by the first black president any more than he was canceled by Dr. King. He was awarded by Barack Obama just as he was rewarded by Dr. King. So what I was really seeking yesterday was clarity from you, Rev, for any future
Brian,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Rev.
We talked about this yesterday. Every time a person calls and makes a comment and others respond, that's fine. I don't even remember what we talked about yesterday. I do 6 shows a week. So I think you don't take it personal, because people say and do whatever they say or do. I responded yesterday, I assume, to what you said. I remember I talked about what happened with the rappers and me, meaning one of the record company's people. But we don't need to take 10 minutes of radio time about something we took 10 minutes on yesterday.
I got you, Rev, and I just wanted to say, what I was really seeking is clarity from you for any future non-black artist, activist, or to quote your daughter's term, artivist, who claims to be anti-racist but still wants to take artistic license with that word. See, after we spoke yesterday, I went and I found the Hall of Fame video, and Rev, it was the Waldorf Astoria in 2007, and that's where ChatGPT got me wrong. It said it was Madison Square Garden, but you were there, and that's where Patti Smith performed the song Rock and Roll N-Word, and you immediately followed her, and I watched your beautiful tribute to James Brown, which is up on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's YouTube page, and I also, Rev, reread Patti Smith's 2016 Guardian interview, and I'm quoting her now. She said, quote, I performed the song. Oh, I'm sorry, Rev.
Go ahead. I'm going to let you finish, and I'm going on. Again, I don't want to do the same show every day.
Absolutely. I just wanted clarity on it, right? She said, I performed the song. Right in front of me was Clive Davis with Aretha and Al Sharpton. This is her. She said, I don't know whether they liked that or not, but that's what I did. And since no one, end quote, and since no one ever followed up to ask you, Rev, and you so graciously welcomed me here, I see that as my role.
Okay, but all I'm saying to you is this, and I said it yesterday, and I welcome your calls, I welcome what you do. But again, I don't like to be repetitive. I do not remember hearing her sing the song. I was there because James Brown had just died about 3 months before. They wanted to give a memorial plaque to him. I came and received that. The best I can remember, I left after I made that speech. I don't remember. Let me tell you this, Brian. Since I was blessed, since teenage years, to be around James Brown, and before that, Mahalia Jackson, and after that, Michael Jackson, I don't stay for a lot of shows because there's nothing I want to hear because I done heard the best. I doubt very seriously, I don't care what she wrote, that I stayed for the rest of the show.
Absolutely, Rev. Absolutely. And what I failed to ask clearly yesterday was this, Rev. Are those records mistakes to retire or cancel, as Patti Smith has done by quietly deleting the songs from her catalog? Or are they history to be taught with context? Or are they something else entirely? I relish your perspective,
I
Rev.
think that my perspective is that they should be used to be taught of the egregious things that people went through. And those that do not use them in a way of teaching ought to be banished, at least from the consumer power of those of us that don't believe in derogatory terms. But I think that if somebody is using it as an example of how we need to rise from that, then it could be only used in that context. But in any other use, I think they ought to suffer the consequences.
I love it, Rev.
Right.
In closing, Rev, it fascinates me how these worlds overlapped with like Lennon and Ono, Dylan, Randy Newman, and Patti Smith on one side, and then James Brown, Stevie, Aretha, and Nina Simone on the other. Because if you look at it, Aretha covered Lennon, and Nina and Stevie covered Dylan, and Etta James and Gladys Knight recorded Randy Newman's song "Sail Away" from the same album as Rednecks, which was a song skewering the same Southern racist and Northern racism that you marched against in Howard Beach and Bensonhurst a decade later. So, you know, Rev, it's all just it's so incredibly complex, and you've really clarified it today. And I really want to thank you for giving me clarity. I would love to do a whole book or a podcast about these. I just feel like all these white artists who did this stuff and who might have insulted you, they just get to kind of, and I don't want to like cancel anybody, but I love what you said about using those moments as teaching moments, because I don't feel like there's been enough of that. And that's what this show does, and that's what you do with your life's work, and I honor and cherish and thank you again.
Well, I appreciate
and
that.
Thank you, WURD.
I really appreciate
Thank you, brother.
that. Thank you for your call and your insight. I appreciate that. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We would go. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Last time. And we,
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when, exactly. That was, exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went for his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. From South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people come too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and helping pushing the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told me, you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to I-20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you got to listen to me. But now, and I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes blacks. We don't want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started in Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, at ACP, with the French workers together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this. I would argue that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI diversify. It's not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were extremely pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? Until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males. That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to compete. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. You're live. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host. Keeping it real. You know every Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Keeping it real. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to Ira in Washington, D.C. Ira, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, good evening, Reverend Sharpton. Thanks for taking my call again. I just changed my subject for today. I got 5 minutes. I'm going to get it in. My question is this. How does 47 got a National Guard member unalive and still be getting away with this craziness? Because if it wasn't for him putting those people in the way of for no reason, that would not have happened, period. And I'm glad it wasn't none of us that did that horrific crime there. But it's just a thing. They wanted us to be that so they can start some different kind of avenue for policing our state, because they thought it would be one of us, which I thought it was. But, hey, it wasn't. That's my first thing. And my second and last thing I'm going to get with, I saw some on your channel, the MS channel, but this person said make sure they kill everybody on this Venezuelan ship that they had, but they found out they had 2 people alive. This was from one of the president's henchmen, said make sure you unalive everybody on that boat. And that was to keep them from telling the truth about what actually happened, what they actually had on the boat. It's my opinion. I could be wrong. So what do you think about that, Reverend Sharpton?
I think that the person that said kill everybody, like I've been saying all show today, is completely not only breaking laws of the United States, they're breaking international law. You do not have the right in international waters, and certainly not in the waters of another country, to decide to be the judge, jury, and executioner of anybody. You just don't have that right. And you have to ask yourself, why is Trump and his administration so bent on this when they're not trying to help in other countries, even closer to the United States, like Haiti? And then how does he do this if he's that animated about him allegedly saying they're bringing drugs in the country, because that has not been proven? Then why are you pardoning the president of Honduras, who was convicted in U.S. courts of drugs and drug trafficking and sentenced to 45 years? So one, I put it to you this way, you can do this or you can do that, but you can't do this and that. And that's what he's trying to do, and the American people need to be smart enough to see it. Thank you for your call. Let me go to Carl in Palm Beach, Florida. Carl?
How you doing, big brother?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Also thankful to the Creator for giving us breath. But I think we miss a lot of times our opportunities, and I think we're in a moment right now where we could teach civics, wherein that we could identify the difference between domestic policy and foreign policy, and how the government has handled the two different realities and how they affect us as a community and how we must organize ourselves in order to do such differently. And as we look at the idea of the new education that is going to be rendered to us, we're going to have to know all things. And one of the things that we don't have a clear understanding of, because we only watch the news, we don't understand foreign policy and domestic policy. We don't understand how people steal oil and diamonds and gold and stuff, and we don't understand how people steal people's brain power. And that's what we're dealing with here in the Western Hemisphere as they continue to try to imitate everything that we've done and do. And we still haven't. The greatest thing to me for us to develop the cell phone, the fiber optics, the telephone, the light bulb, and refrigeration, and all of these things that are paramount in human development. And we still haven't, as of yet, got the recognition, not the identity of where those things came from. And we understand that when God moves, he moves inside of human beings, and he made those things available through our people. And I think we need to take advantage of this time in which we live right now and move ourselves forward, not focusing on nobody else. We're trying to get this kind of information into our babies' hands so that they can clearly understand. And they need educators and teachers that can do that kind of necessary work. And I know it takes resources in order to do it. So I'm hoping that at this time, all of our organizations, everybody would just take heed and look at what we're up against and how we must prepare ourselves for the future. Because those of us who are like seasoned, like you and myself, we only got so many left, but these babies got a whole future like what we had. And I'm hoping that we would help them to prepare themselves in a better position than what we found ourselves in. Because, we had to always continue to struggle. But I'm hoping that we could relieve them of that burden by giving them the proper information.
I thank you for your call. I thank you for your call. I think that one of the things that we don't want to do is be naive, like I told the caller that talked about, I think it was Woody, about education. I think that you, Carl, are absolutely correct that we need to re-educate and really get basics down to our young people so they won't have to go through a lot of things that we had to learn. But at the same time, it's not one or the other, it's one and the other. We must control the governing of our communities to even teach them. Because if we lose control, that's why one of the big battles that was being fought when I was young and that we won in certain cities was around our controlling education in our communities. Otherwise, we just talking. To say that we want to educate our people and to let the school boards be destroyed, let the Department of Education be destroyed, and the majority of our people in those schools, then we're not being realistic. Because most of our people, most of our young people, have a public education, and we have not made it sufficiently an issue that they are destroying public education. So it sounds good. That's what I was saying when Woody called. For us to say we need to learn and teach our people how to read and write, when millions of our people are going to school every day that now will not be governed by a Department of Education. So we will have no control over what they're taught or not taught. And I don't think that enough of us understand how absolutely dangerous that is. So people look at it, that's why I try to bring it up every week in Politics Nation. People look at that, oh, yeah, that's just something else Trump's doing. That is destabilizing our ability to teach our people our history, our culture, or how to read. Because they're shutting all that down. He put Linda McMahon, the woman who with her husband owned wrestling, pro wrestling, over the Department of Education to break it down. And I think those of us that been through them wars, when I started in Operation Breadbasket as a teenager, I could not go to school. I just graduated secondary school, or junior high school as we called it in New York, on my way to Tilden High School. We couldn't go to school for 2 months because the community in Brownsville had fought for the right to control, community control of schools. Have a local school board. They would be in charge. They could review teachers. They could review curriculums. The union said, oh, no, we're not going to be bossed by local community people. And they struggled. And for 2 months, I couldn't even start high school. This battle of community control, that's what Trump is doing now federally, taking away the Department of Education so that you can now deal with education the way you want. And those of us in our community won't have the resources. And that's what I'm hoping we don't miss the forest for the trees. And a lot of us, I think, are absolutely right about reading. Nobody is better than that than Woody. Absolutely right. You are talking about we've got to be able to teach our kids what we went through and ground them. But we need to make sure we control the institutions that can educate them or that are miseducating them. Otherwise, we're just talking. And that's why I stress we must use our money and our votes to even put ourselves in that position. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Be right back.
But the fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished. But the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you erase your name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit here acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email, never had a cell phone, never could go online. Here you got 2 cell phones in your pocket, emails, computers at the house, and can't even get a block association meeting together. We got so much more that they gave us, and we're doing so much less with it. They went to vote when people were threatening their lives. Medgar Evers was shot dead in his driveway, left 3 children inside that never knew how it was to have a father in their adult years, died to give us the right to vote. Pregnant women marched through the streets of Birmingham. They sick police dogs on them to give us the right to vote. 4 little girls bombed in a church in Birmingham, Alabama to give us the right to vote. And here you are 40 years later in Detroit, Michigan. No dogs biting you, no bombs going off, no bullets, too lazy and ungrateful. Making mockery of her memory. Making mockery of her memory. Nobody should have to beg you to vote. Nobody should have to beg you to stand up and protect the rights that they died and suffered to give us. You can't take care of one thing on the ballot in Michigan when they had to change the laws of all 50 states. You complaining about one referendum when they did a whole revolution and never fired one shot. And then you turn it around on each other. Why do I want my daughters to visit that stone? Because I want them to know black women are not hoes. You have music companies selling misogynist records to our children. Black womanhood was Rosa Parks sitting in dignity. She wasn't break dancing. She wasn't talking about pimp me out. She made the world respect her people. So I want to thank Reverend Jackson and Mrs. Jackson and others that taught us a little younger who Rosa was, and we got to pass that on. I want to challenge everybody here today that when we leave here, you ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to make one commitment in her name to yourself. That you won't either join some organization or you won't stand for some policy. You ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to resolve that you're going to do something that'll make a difference because we're here because she made a difference. Most people come and go and we never come to say goodbye because their hellos didn't mean anything to us. But we're here because she touched every one of us. And we need to make a Rosa resolution. I said to some of the young rappers the other day, talking to me about, well, you get on us about calling women out their names. I said you need to come and know the story of a dignified woman. They make the excuse, Mayor Kilpatrick said, well, you know, we love Aretha and that generation, but we just kick it like we see. We just mirror.
And we're back. 1-877-532 5797 1-877-532-5797. Evangelist Ramsey, one of our preeminent activists, writes, I need a piece of the action. We need to stand on our own. Something for everyone. Tag. Okay, Evangelist Ramsey. And I see some on our live stream is watched the commercials inside, they showed me doing Rosa Parks' funeral when she passed, and the horse-drawn carriage. I see Leslie Jennings has on there, and I think that if anybody deserved that, it was Rosa Parks. Let's go to Tommy in Chicago on our live lines. Tommy, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
A pleasant afternoon to you, Reverend Sharpton, and especially to your listening audience. And I told your screener that I wanted to speak to you today about providence, because it's a strange thing, Rev, when you begin to recognize and understand the more truth you give individuals, the more they live a lie. It would be one thing if I was calling your show and saying that if an individual went to their national archives of this country, it will clearly show you the plight of a displaced people who at this point won't even come to their senses. And here I'm born in 1952. I was born in America. I am an American. I am a black American. And I was dumb as hell until I received a notice that says, Uncle Sam wants you. And from that moment to this moment, I have lived in the greatest city on the face of the earth with the people who come from it, especially when you stop and you think about there's only one black man in all the history of the founding of this country that went to another country unsanctioned by his country and brought white folks back. And I say it like that because that's just where it's at. I don't have any hate for anybody, nor do they have all this so-called hate for us, because we could not have gotten here where we are if it had not been for those who wasn't for this nonsense. We were nothing but cargo, nothing but merchandise. And here we are at this moment and at this time with facts, not lies. Everything that has happened, every last bit of it is not made up. So I want to just leave everybody with this simple narrative. If it had not been for people like Reverend Al Sharpton and all those who were in front of me, who paved the way, that I could come to my senses and recognize and understand the greatest mistake as an individual in this country anyone can do is not to embrace their country and ask a question of how in the hell did you get here? And since everywhere else is so much better than here, why aren't you individuals on a mass exodus called see you later, hit the road, Jack? Because at this point, we don't have anything but right now. And I simply close because, once again, you're upset. Once again, you're emotional until you come to a simple narrative. Here we are, 435 seats are available. And here's a country that says its mantra is democracy, and yet with no trial, no nothing there over somewhere else, just mobbing and killing the hell out of people. And we're sitting up here walking around here like, oh, it's just another day in the neighborhood. The actual country has been attacked. Individuals who took oaths of office have denied it. We, the people, voted for lawlessness, not once but twice. Run and tell that Tommy ain't going nowhere.
All right,
and since
thank
I know
you
I
for
ain't
your
did
call.
nothing to anybody else.
Now, thank you for your call. And I don't mean to cut off Tommy or Brian, anybody, but people need to be mindful that we got a lot of people want to talk. I can't let people talk a whole segment. O.G. Kelly is saying, our ancestors left the plantations during the Civil War and fought for freedom. They fought for equality, voting rights, and civil rights. So when I hear young people say we are not our ancestors, that bothers me too, OG, because if we do not identify as our ancestors' offspring, he finishes by saying they're right when they say we're not our ancestors because they're too lazy to get out and vote, let alone participate in events pertaining to social justice. And that's the point. If it is no accident, and OG's right on it, that they want to take black history out of the schools, starting in Florida with DeSantis and going around the country with that. Because if you don't know who you are and don't know why you fit in the socioeconomic ecosystem that you fit, then you won't behave the way you ought to behave. Because divorcing yourself, trying to separate yourself from the history of your ancestors means that, well, you get less education because you're stupid, not because of historic discrimination. Or you were born with less property ownership, or less annual income, or less weekly paychecks than everybody else because you're inept. The only way you understand the socioeconomic position that you're in, which is unfair statistically to everybody else that is white, is because of what they did to your ancestors and your ancestors fought. So it doesn't make you smart trying to act like you're not that, because then you're saying that, well, the reason I'm in a different category than everybody else at my job is because I'm just dumber than them. The other thing that gets me about that is, who are you denying this to? You don't think whites know what they did to your ancestors and to us? I mean, who are you trying to convince? They must go in the restroom at your job and laugh at you while you sit up there trying to justify and ignore what they know that happened. I mean, it's just absolutely must be the biggest joke of their life. Let's go to Cheryl in Fairfield, Georgia. Cheryl.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, hi, Reverend Sharpton. I'm going to try to be concise and clear because when I'm passionate about something, I tend to go in a whole different direction. But as when I was speaking with, I guess, the producer of your show, my point is this. They're saying they're not like their ancestors, and that's true. And then we have the ancestors, or like I'm a Generation X person. And right now, I feel like Generation X are the torch bearers because we grew up learning, being educated, and informed about our past and the potential for our future. So we looked at a person, Jesse Jackson, when I was a political science major, being, to my knowledge, just to my knowledge, one of the first black males to ever run for president. And I felt a sense of hope and pride that maybe one day a black man would occupy that office. When I saw you speak, I didn't always agree with you, Reverend Al, but when I saw you speak, I felt a sense of pride knowing that you said it like you meant it. Now, we've got Generation Xers sitting here now calling the generation, I have an 18-year-old son, calling them YNs. Why did we even spend that little bit of time to come up with that and label that generation YNs when it maybe should have been YLs for like young leaders? Because the reason is, it's because their fathers aren't there, because their mothers are in the club. It's a whole slew of reasons why we're not saving our own community. When I talk to young people and I'm like, why don't you vote? You know what they say? A bunch of expletives. I don't give a about government. I don't give a about, and I try to relate it to them. I say, you understand something? When you all didn't go out and vote, that man had 4 seats. Was it 4 or 3 seats on the Supreme Court that he could fill? Who doesn't get justice? We don't. Who gets the book thrown at them? We do. So when you are wrongfully convicted, when they are giving you an exorbitant amount of time, when it's cruel and unusual, what outlet do you have if the Supreme Court is bought and paid for because you don't get into politics? Maybe they don't understand the three branches of government, and maybe they don't care to, because the white nationalist Christian people are taking that out of schools. My son was going to a private school. The only reason they accepted my son was because he was an athlete. And there was no history, there was no civics, there was no social studies, and there was no real science. And now I come to the point of us. We're trying to be the torchbearers, but now we're going into our twilight years. They send me stuff in the mail now for AARP, okay? I'm getting there. And we have no youth to step into those shoes. Why is it that our super uber rich are only looking for photo ops? Why are they opening schools in Africa? Why are they giving money to other people? Why are we not having our own schools to educate our people? Why are the rich, and why is there not a collective? I'm going to say this. We effectively shut Target down. Effectively. And the news doesn't want to tell that. And we can effectively shut down Amazon, Walmart, and anybody else that's not meeting our demand.
You need to go, sir.
All right, I got to go. Thank you for your call. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, be right back.
Keeping it real.
Knew love like this before, 'cause I never knew love like this before.
Sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute. What you doing?" All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way, because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning, and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes us a tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. But thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you. I love you with my life.
Stephanie Mills.
Who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, in every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you're born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. The young man that I've known a while came to me, and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things. And I told him, I said, you know, you were very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me different. They were chopping up. I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
Loretta Scott King, widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fighting injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement. Much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say, you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say, you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, the Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York, where injustice goes, he follows.
30 years ago, Yusuf Hawkins was the young 16-year-old brother killed for being in a white neighborhood in Brooklyn. I got stabbed in one of those marches.
Keeping it real with America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
You're live.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. And we're joined, as we are every Tuesday for the last hour of the show, by the senior pastor of the First Corinthian Baptist Church in Harlem and member of the National Board of National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. How you doing, Reverend?
Pretty good, Reverend Sharpton. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Let me
good.
Let me ask you, bring you into this that we've been talking about for a couple of hours. The whole question of they're now shooting and killing people on boats in Venezuela with no due process, no guilt or innocence found, no rule of law, and we're not even sure who they killed. They're not even identifying them. We have not seen any evidence of any drugs. That's on one level. We see on another level the president being able to try and overwhelm any coverage of the Epstein files. People not even talk about that the last 2 or 3 days coming out on the violating and raping of children. I mean, we're talking about children. And on top of that, we are within 29 days of premiums going sky high on the Affordable Care Act, and 23 million Americans will be either forced off or have to do all they can to keep health insurance. When you look at all these litany of things, and I can go on and on and on, why are we not hearing more about the immorality of this? I think one of the things that has been missing from the discussion that Trump has succeeded in with most Americans is that we've gone from being transformative in our goals. Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream, anti-Vietnam War, anti-Iraq War, moral, the sanctity of life, to where we're going now to who got the biggest gun, or who's winning this or who's winning that, or who can get away with this or that. Where's the moral clarity that we need at this hour?
Yeah, I feel like we're in a cultural moment, Rev, where we're in one big social media post after the other. I kid you not. This is a moment where it's about views and how many people can build a platform, and how outlandish can the post be to get more followers. It is amazing that it is so self-centered and so ego-driven and so shaped by cultural exhibitionism that we bypass the critical issues of our day. And you don't see, as you said, you don't hear in mass outrage about things that are morally reprehensible. This kind of freelance killing of people on boats in Venezuela. And we can use that language because, as you said, there's no due process, no evidence that's taking place. At the same time, you're going to have this reality, as you outlined, about the affordable care premiums going up, which is going to impact a large portion of Trump's supporters and base. It's going to hit them. I mean, it is a strange moment. We keep saying it every time we have these conversations, what a strange moment it is. But I think sometimes it's also an age of the limitless and endless distractions that keep people occupied on things that are so unrelated to what gives life, what enhances life, that it is amazing to me. So you do have people speaking out in certain quarters about how morally reprehensible this moment is, how socially reprehensible it is. But the people who are speaking out, whether they're in pulpits or small community-based organizations or some elected officials, that stuff doesn't really get the air or catch the eye of larger media because it's not always sensationalized. And I've been saying for years, the sensationalism that drives a lot of mainstream media is now, in many ways, lost its way. And there's no more sharing information, giving people facts. It's about who can get the headline quicker, who can get the sensational byline quicker. And that is what is happening. And so, again, the moral clarity is being uttered by different parts of this country and different people in different places, but it's not gaining attention because it's hard to sensationalize struggle and inequality and things of the sort. So it's tragic. As you said it, we're focusing on so many different things other than talking about these underage children who are part of this ring of Jeffrey Epstein and the connection to some very powerful people that is being overshadowed by what's the next sensational thing we can throw out there to distract people, Rev.
And I see in the newsrooms, as I inevitably deal with my television show and radio show and all, that even the journalists are looking for the next gotcha story, not looking for things that really have any substantive impact on people's lives. They want, they'd rather talk about, getting a photo of Diddy in jail than a health care plan. I mean, and we've become that, to me, that plastic. And the results are, obviously, the public and young people don't know anything else because that's all they're being fed.
Mm-hmm. The most valuable commodity right now is our attention. Our individual attention is the hottest commodity because we are now living in an attentional economy where, again, people are trying to create things to garner attention, and people, different industries, are competing and spending tons of money to gain attention because they know attention can translate into dollars. You can monetize attention. Right. That's what we see all the time. So I think when you have the monetization of attention and the attentional economy, we're always looking for the next thing, the next dopamine hit, the next adrenaline rush that's going to get us involved, to get us closer to what we need. The algorithm is algorithms are undermining intelligence, undermining literacy. They're chasing people to now become commodities in and of themselves. This is a very strange cultural moment. In the midst of it, when you start looking for some kind of moral consistency in terms of ethical stances that people at one time and organizations would have taken, everybody's competing for the attention. Why? Because they're also competing for dollars, also competing for sponsorship, also competing for funders. So you have a lot going on right now that is putting even community-based organizations at odds with one another, competing for scarce resources to do work to help our communities.
Cedric Cooper on our live stream message page said the saying is out of sight, out of mind. Is no big secret. Everything that Trump does is a distraction to keep the narrative in the media shift in a different direction rather than on himself. I think that is very clear, and I think that that is why Trump goes out of his way to every day try to do something. If it's talk to the press and say something outrageous on Air Force One, or if it's him making a crazy speech, or if it's him up in the middle of the night writing something on Truth Social. It's the art of distraction. And so people don't understand that the bread went up, the milk went up, jobs went out, the young girls underage were violated, nobody's talking. All of that they don't, because they're following the latest shiny object that Trump is throwing out there at them. And I think that people need to wake up and smell the coffee, as they say, because this is a strategy. And as long as the strategy works, we will be the losers.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, Rev, why we don't see as much highlights around the losses Trump is experiencing in the courts and in other ways. That is not being driven home every day because people are under the illusion that he's getting away with everything that he wants to do, and that's not the case.
Right.
But the narratives are not moving the way the narratives move around the sensational things he does versus the losses he's been taking, the setbacks he's had from the courts, and likewise. So it's, as you said, everything is driven by what's the next shiny thing we can get out to get attention and get advertisers and make money. It's sad, but we're watching this kind of warped way of understanding capitalism infuse itself even in our news media outlets. And now it's not about what is truth or what is fact. It's about what information we can put out there to get attention, even if it's not real. Credit Trump. He started talking about fake news, and I guess he knew about it because he was the master of fake news. So it makes sense.
No, let's get ready to take our break. We'll be right back. More Keeping It Real. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, Warren. Be right back.
62 years ago today, Martin marched in Washington. 62 years later, the dream is not dead.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the picking. You have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Oh, yeah. Rev, you know, you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question. What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Now, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut. We went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Is
Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building here at the National Action Network. It's about thanks, it's about giving, it's about gratitude, it's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We got to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
So it's become almost an unhealthy habit how much I'm listening to Keep It Real, because it is the realest thing on the air anywhere, whether it be online or whether it be on the radio or wherever it's coming into you from, because there's no one of Rev's importance and caliber who is as dominant a media figure as he is, who allows people to speak at length, and who he treats with equal respect and admiration with every call, whether he agrees with you or not. And I'm not gonna throw shade at anybody, but there are a lot of people with big platforms like the Rev has who are afraid to talk to the people and who are afraid that the people will keep it real with them. And he never shies away from anything any of us want to talk to him about. And he doesn't shut you up. It's not a soundbite, it's a conversation. So I would like people in media to learn from this man who is carrying MLK's torch. Don't be afraid of people. Listen to them, respect them, and stand in God and stand in truth. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, Rev. Thank you, everybody who puts this together and sends it out across the world, because we need much more of it. Bless you.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started in Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, at ACP would have been formed together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this stuff. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers. Reverend Jesse Jackson started my activism in his leadership. Politics direct your life. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host. Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Dr. Michael Walron is our guest host, co-host as he is every Tuesday. I see on our message board, Jermaine Ramsey says, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. You are a truly extraordinary person with such an amazing heart for people in the community and the nations of centuries, nations for centuries. Well, thank you for your compliment, and I'm going to try to do what I can. And I think everybody has a role they need to play. Let's go to the phones, Reverend Walron. I see the Sage of the South is up. Jihad from Atlanta. Jihad, you keeping it real with Al Sharpton and Pastor Mike Walron.
Good afternoon to both of you.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, Reverend Sharpton, let me say this first. The funding that the different organizations are vying for, I think that obviously Trump and others are using money as a weapon to punish or reward people who support them. I think that the GoFundMe concept was the concept that we kept wishing for when we would come on the air and say if everybody can give $1, if everybody can give $2.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that our concentration as these private groups that need funding, how can we put that message out to our public and get them to support our agendas independently of them from the GoFundMe concept? And I think we need to come up with a strategy to advertise that, promote it, and get it out in the community wholeheartedly, because then it won't be a burden on any particular group or any particular person if we can motivate the masses to support these programs independently of what Trump them are doing to use money as a weapon. And I think we can do that, to be honest with you. I think that we just have to organize it and then promote it and push it 24/7, like basically you talk about. The idea that what you said to the gentleman earlier, that we can't ignore the political consequences of the Congress not. And it's very critical that we get the Congress.
We're losing your voice.
A person acting basically on his own as a king with no check, there's no balance. And the balance is put there to check a king that went rampant or went crazy. So we have a king going crazy, but nobody to check it.
Right.
To the point that he himself can designate anybody as a terrorist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right on it. Let me.
And no response from Congress at all. And say, Mr. President, you can't do that. You can't abuse these people of this and put them in a situation where they might be harmed and hurt. So I agree with you 1,000%. We can do these independent things. I think the brother was talking about educating our people, etc. But the vast majority of our people, like you said, with the shop in public schools, if we ignore and let them control the public school atmosphere politically and leave it up to us individually to educate our children, that doesn't make any sense. That's just a fake act. And where they're arguing about who said to kill, who gave the order to kill, there's an article where Trump gave the order to kill.
Right.
So there's dudes moving Trump and killing the boat people. And he said, bottom line, they'll be dead. You know what I mean? And he said that they will kill him right out loud this time. You know what I mean? So there was no intention for justice.
No, none at all. And see what troubles me. Thank you for your call, Jihad. I couldn't hear the last part of it. You got off mic a little. But what troubles me about what Jihad points out again, Reverend Walron, is that we are normalizing this. So it begins as an outrage. Oh, wow, they killed people in a boat supposedly selling drugs in Venezuela. By the 6th or 7th boat is how many they killed a day. And that's why it is important that we don't lose the ability to address the public, whether it's through social media or corporate media or church platforms. What was the basis? And here's a danger that a lot of us don't want to deal with. What was the basis of our movements in the past? Is we controlled the information flow. We had black newspapers, black magazines, Ebony Jet and all, black radio stations, Tom Joyner, etc., black church. What they have in the name of we have a new era, new age, young new thing, they have robbed us of owning and controlling our own platforms. So our young people say, no, I don't watch corporate media, I'm online. But we don't own those sites online. And guess who does? Elon Musk and them own X. And what's his name? Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook. So how do they tell our kids it is revolutionary to go from you owning Ebony Magazine to letting Mark Zuckerberg decide whether or not your story can get out? That's crazy. But without our having the ability and or the guts, they don't understand it. Same thing with the black church. I've had blacks tell me I don't deal with the black church. It's too personality based. Is no democracy. So I go to a church downtown that is more integrated. All right. And do they address the times in which we live and your conditions? No. It's praise and worship. So let me get this right. You want to praise and worship while they're taking away all your rights because you mad at the church because the setup of the church is where you don't feel is fair. And you don't know what the setup is at the other church you're going because y'all just praising and worshiping. You don't know who's in charge of what. I mean, it is really troubling to me, Reverend, where they have brought us and allowed us, we've allowed ourselves.
It's the same old adage, Rev. We still think that there's some folk whose water is wetter, whose ice is colder.
Yeah.
And we steady fall for the same thing. We don't honor our own, pour into our own, to go for the thing we think is going to help us assimilate or to feel more valuable or valued. It happens all the time. But it's still preying on the trauma that we've experienced. trying to find ways to validate us in ways that actually undermine us. It happens all of the time. It happens in church. It happens in politics. It happens in corporate. But many of us keep falling for the same strategies in the name of progress, not realizing what you perceive as progress is actually the diminishment of your value, the diminishment of your narrative, the diminishment of your story, and the normalization of your trauma in such a way that you don't even see or feel when the trauma is being used to manipulate you.
And you go into these. So when Silicon Valley and others became the new billionaires, trillionaires, and they controlled the flow of information, now you're going into AI, and we don't know who's controlling that. And we're not even questioning that. We just, I checked out on Perplexity. I checked out, well, where's all this coming from? But you don't want to check First Baptist Church because you know Elder Stevens, and you saw Elder Stevens do something wrong 30 years ago. I mean, how crazy can we be? We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Warren, be right back.
Democratic presidential candidate, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Tonight, I want to address my remarks in two parts. One, I'm honored to address the delegates here. Last Friday, I had the experience in Detroit of hearing President George Bush make a speech. And in the speech, he asked certain questions. I hope he's watching tonight. I would like to answer your questions, Mr. President. To our chairman, our delegates, and all that are assembled, we're honored and glad to be here tonight. I'm glad to be joined by supporters and friends from around the country. I'm glad to be joined by my family, Kathy, Dominique, who will be 18, and Ashley. We are here 282 years after, right here in Boston, we fought to establish the freedoms of America. The first person to die in the Revolutionary War is buried not far from here, a black man from Barbados named Crispus Attucks. 40 years ago, in 1964, Fannie Lou Hamer and the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party stood at the Democratic Convention in Atlantic City fighting to preserve voting rights for all Americans and all Democrats regardless of race or gender. Hamer's stand inspired Dr. King's March in Selma, which brought about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. 20 years ago, Reverend Jesse Jackson stood at the Democratic National Convention in San Francisco, again appealing to preserve those freedoms. Tonight, we stand with those freedoms at risk and our security as citizens in question. I have come here tonight to say the only choice we have to preserve our freedom at this point in history is to elect John Kerry, the President of the United States. I stood with both John Kerry and John Edwards over 30 occasions in debates during the primary season. I narrated them, I watched them, I observed their deeds, I looked into their eyes. I am convinced that they are men who say what they mean and mean what they say. I am also convinced that at a time when a vicious spirit in the body politic of this country that attempts to undermine America's freedoms, our civil rights, our civil liberties, we must leave this city and go forth and organize this nation for victory for our party and John Kerry and John Edwards in November. But let me quickly say, this is not just about winning an election. It's about preserving the principles on which this very nation was founded. Look at the current view of our nation worldwide as a result of our unilateral foreign policy. We went from unprecedented international support and solidarity on September 12, 2001, to hostility and hatred as we stand here tonight. We can't survive in the world by ourselves. How did we squander this opportunity to unite the world for democracy and to commit to the global fight against hunger and disease? We did it with a going-alone foreign policy based on flawed intelligence. We were told that we were going to Iraq because there were weapons of mass destruction. We lost hundreds of soldiers. We spent $200 billion at a time we had record state deficits. And when it became clear that there were no weapons, they changed the premise for the war and said, no, we went because of other reasons. If I told you tonight to let's leave the fleet center, we're in danger. And when you get outside, you ask me, Reverend Al, what is the danger? And I say, it don't matter, we just needed some fresh air. I have misled you, and we were misled. We are also faced with the prospect of, in the next 4 years, that 2 or more Supreme Court justices' seats will become available. This year, we celebrated the anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. This court has voted 5-4 on critical issues of women's rights and civil rights. It is frightening to think that the gains of civil and women's rights and those movements in the last century could be reversed if this administration is in the White House in these next 4 years. I suggest to you tonight that if George Bush had selected the court,
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host,
never got to law school.
Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walram is our co-host, as he is every Tuesday at this hour. Let me remind you, on Saturday and Sunday, make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now, formerly MSNBC. And I'm already working on the members of the Senate and Congress that I'm going to have on this week. I really, really want to bear down on how we're going to deal with this Affordable Care Act. We're on a countdown right now, 23 million people at risk. I want to know how the Congress can block it. I want to know how the Congress is going to deal with the continuing unexplained killing of people on boats in the Caribbean, saying that they're drug trafficking. And at the same time, the president pardons a convicted drug trafficker, the president of Honduras. And I mean, why y'all sitting there not doing something about that? I want to have that on. I want the governors on to talk about how we're dealing with the impact at the end of this year with inflation. So I'm going to dig deep. We had a great show last weekend for everybody from Jim Clyburn on to Swalwell, who's been another target of the administration, now is running for governor of California, and Robin Kelly, the congresswoman. I will not waste your time. Just watch Politics Nation every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. You that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. And you that are not in the New York area can watch it live on Impact Television, the only black-owned, national-owned cable network, gospel cable network, and we're on there live 9 to 11. Or you can watch it on nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. Dr. Walron, what's going on at First Corinthian Baptist Church?
Spoken since, but our Thanksgiving feeding was amazing. We served over 900 meals on Thanksgiving. That was amazing. We had people from everywhere in all walks who were being served, and we didn't just have people come to the church. We went to 125th Street. We went all over. We went to the hospitals and delivered meals. We went into the police precincts on Thanksgiving and delivered meals. So we were committed to really serving the community this Thanksgiving, and it was just an amazing time. And secondly, we're entering our winter renewal time. So, Rev, you remember in December, we do our hybrid services, first and third services in person, second and fourth Sunday are virtual. It's a time to give some of our volunteers just a little break towards the end of the year and into the holidays, Rev.
Okay. Now, yeah, I remember that, and it's worked well. A lot of people are afraid if you break out of the weekly, they won't come back. But you've perfected more than anybody I've known, making that work.
Yeah, it's been amazing, and again, we've been doing it now for quite a few years. The people really are grateful for it, and we haven't had any. I've never heard anyone lodge a complaint or say, "I wish we didn't do this." So it's been good, Rev.
Very good, and I thank you for the call. Let me ask you this: the whole political. I'm sorry, I was adjusting my call screen. The whole political climate around New York is it's caught a lot of national and global attention. And what lessons? I know they're having a special election today in Tennessee. What lessons can the election of Mandani give to people around the country? Different places, different environments is the word I'm looking for. Different environments, different landscape. But what are the lessons for a guy who a year ago today, most people didn't know his name in New York, certainly not in the country, and was able to organize and beat a former governor and a former and the present mayor. What are the lessons that we ought to be able to take from that?
Well, there's one obvious lesson that having a robust social media strategy can transform your campaign. I think that's the one thing we see. We talked about it earlier. We're in this social media-driven age where people get the information, people hear the narratives, and if you have a very robust social media strategy, it can really pay dividends in politics. And I think with that social media strategy comes the ability, and Rev, you run for office, I run for office, and I think, Rev, one of the hardest things to do is to awaken a new demographic of voters while you're running for office. He was able to do that. And he was able to increase voter turnout among young people. And so it tells us that. And where do young people really engage and get the information from? Social media. So I think, one, we can't take young people and the power of young people's participation in the political process for granted. they've demonstrated in this campaign alone the ability to deliver victories. I think, secondly, we can't take for granted having, again, a robust social media strategy. And then third thing I think we have to be mindful of, and it's not necessarily the positive or even the negative, but that when we run campaigns and we make promises, that we also, if we happen to win these campaigns based on said promises, we have to then do what I hope Mamdani does, is explain to his base, explain to the people the difficulty in doing some of the things that he's seeking to do and why politics moves slow. So that my fear is, Rev, some of the same people who came out in droves to support him can get easily disillusioned if he doesn't deliver on some of the things that are not as easily done or cannot be as easily done as sometimes he and the campaign makes it appear. So two things that are powerful and one thing that is cautionary, Rev.
And I think that that my fear is exactly what you said. They generated a lot of enthusiasm, but my fear is that if there's not a quick fix, that a lot of that enthusiasm will either become frustrated or turn on him. And that is why that we've got to, as we wake people up of all generations, but particularly the young people he attracted, that we also educate them to understand the process. Because nobody, I mean, I went through that with Obama. I went through that when I was younger when Dave Dinkins was mayor. If people don't understand the process, they will become frustrated that overnight something didn't happen. I will never forget in 1994, I went to South Africa as an election observer. A delegation of us, National Action Network, our chairman at the time was Reverend Y.T. Walker, who had been Dr. King's chief aide and pastored Canaan Baptist Church right down the block from First Corinthian. And I never forget, the election was 3 days, and it's the first time they had elections in the history of South Africa. And we were there as United States observers on our own dime. And I was amazed. People lined up for miles. I'd never seen anything before or for that or since then, that literally people would stand up there all day. We complain about standing up an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, all day to vote because they never voted in their life. They won, ANC won. And story, part of the story, and I'm going to elaborate on this one day, is that they do not vote in South Africa for a personality. They vote for the party. So the ANC ran as a party. The white Afrikaners ran as a party. Then you had the blacks that were opposed to Mandela and the ANC run as a party, Buthelezi. Well, when ANC won, I'll never forget, I was there staying at the Carlton Hotel in Johannesburg, the capital of South Africa. We all poured into the flagpole in the streets celebrating ANC won. We're going to leave 2 days later. We had waited and met with Mandela, and he thanked us for coming and all of that. We saw him again in the States. But I never forget the second day we get ready to leave, people had walked out of Soweto and other places, not a lot, but some, to the suburbs where the mansions were, that the white apartheid people lived, and say, okay, we won the election, this is my house now, get out. They did not understand the process. And then they start getting mad at the ANC, we won the election, why are these people still living here? And that's an extreme example, but it's something that I experienced. And I think that we've got to attract young people, know how to use social media, but educate at the same time. Otherwise, the very people that we bring in will turn on us.
Rev, I couldn't say any better. That is the warning, that if we don't help people understand the processes of politics, how it happens, then the same people, as you said, who helped you win, can be the ones who undermine your leadership when you're in office, because you set up an expectation without explanation. And expectation without explanation can become tragic. when it comes to actually doing the work of governing. Governing is not like a campaign. Campaigns are about your capacity to communicate a message, a narrative. Governing is work, and you can't just soundbite your way through governing. You can't just highlight your way through governing. You have to do the hard work of working with people, building bridges, compromising in order to come out to the best possibility for your constituents. Governing is not even legislating. It is completely different. So he does. Our mayor-elect has some work ahead for him, Rev.
No, I think someone said that we campaign and run in poetry and govern in prose, and some people can't make the transition. And I lost 2 or 3 good friends trying to explain that to them about President Obama. You make an excuse for Obama. No, the process. He's got to be able to get enough votes to get affordable health care in, and this, that, or the other. And the same people that had fell out with me was the ones talking about they taking away everything Obama did. I thought y'all said he didn't do nothing. I mean, same people. They undermining what Obama did, but you say he didn't do nothing. And I think that we have got to be able, if you're really committed, though, you'll do both. You'll rally people and educate them at the same time. All right, let me thank Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Whatever you do, keep it real. Talk to you tomorrow.